Well, a day that Canadian soccer fans have been waiting for a long, long time. The first World Cup draw that Canada has been a part of in 36 years. And all things told, it could have gone a lot worse than it did for us. The draw for the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar happened today, and to be fully honest, I think it went pretty well for about every team. I don't think anyone got really screwed over, and I don't think any team has a very clear and obvious pathway. Like, groups E and F both look pretty difficult, but I don't think there's a group that holds 3+ teams that you would expect to qualify for the round of 16. So there's no true group of death in this tournament. And so for this World Cup, the 8 groups have been sorted as follows. Group A, Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, Netherlands. Group B, England, Iran, the USA, and then the winner of Ukraine, Scotland, or Wales, that group from Europe. Group C is Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland. Group D is France, the winner of the Australia versus UAE matchup in Asia against Peru from South America in that intercontinental playoff. Denmark and Tunisia. Group E is Spain, the winner of the New Zealand versus Costa Rica intercontinental playoff. Germany and Japan. Group F is going to be Canada's group. Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. Group G, Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon. And Group H, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, and South Korea. So all in all, we get 8 very solid groups. And I think going into the draw, going into the 4th round, we all knew that because we were kind of looking at the groups that Canada could be drawn into, and we were all kind of going, none of these are really great. I mean, in the end, it is the World Cup. Every team in the first 2 pots is going to be one of the top 20 teams in the FIFA World Rankings and one of the top 20 teams in the world. So really, when you're hoping for easy matchups to get into the round of 16, you're kind of talking relatively easy matchups, as in, you know, maybe the teams ranked 8th and 16th as opposed to the teams ranked 1st and 9th. Overall, though, I think Canada's group is about as good as we could have gotten. We got Belgium, who obviously is the big dog in this group and the toughest matchup to go up against. Number 2 in the FIFA World Rankings, has been number 1 for a long time prior to this window, came 3rd in the last World Cup. They are a very, very good team, and they're the team that Canada's World Cup campaign is going to start off against for our first match in the World Cup in 36 years, and we're going up against the number 2 ranked team in the world in Belgium. That is going to be an incredibly tough matchup and a real, like, kickstart. Okay, you're at the World Cup, here you go, here's Belgium, throw it in at this Canadian squad. That should be a fun game, but I wouldn't put too much expectations on a result for Canada for that matchup. The other 2 teams in this group, Morocco and Croatia. The Morocco game is probably the most winnable game in this group, although Morocco is a very, very strong team. If Hakim Ziyech doesn't show up, which, I mean, his relationship with the Moroccan national team has been a little rocky as of late, this becomes a much easier matchup for Canada if he's not there. If he is there, then Canada has to deal with a world-class talent on the Moroccan team, which makes things all the more difficult. That should be the most winnable matchup for Canada in this group, but it still, of course, is going to be an incredibly tough match. And finally, we have Croatia, the runners-up from the 2018 World Cup. However, this game is winnable for Canada. This is not the same Croatia team that was at 2018's World Cup in Russia. Rakitic is retired, Mandzukic is retired, Luka Modric was 32 at that World Cup, and he'll be 37 at this World Cup. Yes, new young guys have come up to replace them, but they're not as talented as the players that Croatia has lost. And I mean, last generation from Croatia was called their golden generation for a reason. You don't get 2 golden generations back to back. Croatia still is a world-class team, but they're no longer a World Cup runner-up team. So can Canada get out of this group stage? It's possible. I'd say there's a decent chance. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's likely, but I do think that getting favorable results off of Croatia and Morocco is definitely a possibility. So just right off, based off the draw, I wouldn't say Canada immediately has no chance of making the round of 16. Looking at some of these other groups to watch, Group A, obviously with Qatar being the Pot A team, is quite interesting. You're going to have Ecuador and Senegal Senegal, both really having good shots at qualifying for the round of 16, and I think the Senegal team is fantastic and really does deserve a round of 16 spot, at least in this World Cup. Group B, you have England and the USA as the first two pot-drawn teams in the same group. Two teams which are kind of famous for not living up to expectations at the World Cup, so it'll be really interesting to see, again, with those two teams in the same group. They were in the same group also in 2010, and that was also fun. So those two teams in the same group, that should be a fun matchup when they play each other, and also could have some wacky scenarios if their history of underperforming continues into 2022. Group E is probably the closest thing we have to a group of death, with Germany and Spain in the same group. Japan obviously is a team that qualified for the round of 16 in the last World Cup, and so them going up against Germany and Spain is going to be a very steep challenge for them. And then also you have the winner of the New Zealand-Costa Rica team in that group, and of course Costa Rica in 2014, the last time they were at a World Cup, had a very strong group stage and made it all the way to the quarterfinals, upsetting some very strong teams in the group stage. So if they are in fact the team to get out of that qualifier versus New Zealand, it'll be very interesting to see what happens, especially with Keylor Navas and that he has the ability to shut down Germany or Spain on a good night for him. So that group could have some interesting fireworks. The Brazil, Serbia, Switzerland, Cameroon group is interesting because it's the only group with two European teams that didn't have a pot A European team. So it looks like it'll be a dogfight between Serbia and Switzerland for that final spot. And also with Xhaka and Shaqiri being on the Swiss national team, that matchup is going to have some major political rivalries between Switzerland and Serbia. So that'll be a hell of a battle of a match. The other groups all seem pretty straightforward. Obviously every group is going to have some fights, but nothing out of the ordinary or incredibly, points to watch that I see as of yet in any of them. Of course, obviously, as we get closer to the World Cup, I'll do a proper predictions video for that. I'm not going to do a predictions video in the beginning of April when the World Cup isn't until November. That would be ridiculous. So many things are going to happen between now and November. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the 2022 FIFA World Cup draw. Canada, we're going to play Belgium. Wow. All I can say is those MLS guys that are looking to go to Europe, Osorio, Kay, Miller, Johnston, they better bring their A game, because right here, this is an opportunity to wow some people. I mean, if Alistair Johnson shuts down Eden Hazard, he's going to the Premier League immediately probably. So bring your big boy pants, because we're going to the big boy table. That is for this video. As always, if you like to hit like, if you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time.